Here is my 1996 Chevy C1500. Today we're gonna do the shocks and the brakes on the truck. Primarily gonna focus on doing the shocks, the front shocks. Pretty easy in these trucks. Come on in here, just pop the hood. Once you pop the hood, you'll see how easy it is. It's easier than like other GM vehicles with similar brake setups, like the Camaros and whatnot. Since they're just shocks up here on the driver's side, you can see right here, there is a nut right here that goes into the shock, which is easier to get access to. And then same thing on this side, right there is the nut on that. And easiest thing to do is to get the truck jacked up. Right here is a good solid spot to jack it up. Put some jack stands on it, get it up, and then you're gonna want to then take the wheel off and get the jack under that. Quick reminder before you jack the truck up, you're gonna want to go ahead and take the cover off of the wheels if you have the factory wheels with the covers on them. Just pop them off. Use a flathead screwdriver. Just be gentle with them. These wheels were polished. It's been a while. I'll probably go over them again. But, just keep that in mind. Keep them nice. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and break these loose, and we'll get this up in the air so we can get that shock off. I'm breaking the lug nuts off on this side, and I thought it'd be good to add. If you're using the factory size lug nuts, they're 22 millimeter, and I would recommend having a pretty long breaker bar to break them loose, because the torque spec on these wheels and these C1500s are pretty high. I can't remember this off my head. I'm gonna check that again before it's time to mount everything back on. But yeah, make sure you have a good breaker bar and a torque wrench. All right, we're taking off the lug nuts now. Also, a good thing to keep in mind whenever you're doing something where you are taking the wheels off the vehicle, if you plan on changing your lug nuts, this is a good time to go ahead and get that done. Also, this is a good time to inspect your lug nuts on your vehicle. These aren't in the best condition, but they're good enough to keep going. Because lug nuts, buying a full set for the entire vehicle, which you should buy all of them at the same time, just so they're all at the same standard condition. You can keep better track of how things are wearing when you do that. But yeah, mine look fine. I'm just gonna keep them going. They could be better, they could be worse. Just make sure they're not too mushroomed out or corroded or anything. This truck, even though it has about 300,000 miles on it, it's been all right taken care of. There's some things that are a little neglected, other things we're taking better care of. Luckily, this is one of those things. So at least I know if I keep using these, for at least right now, they're not gonna fall off. But I will keep an eye on them going forward. You never know. But yeah, keep that in mind. I got this off now. Got that on a jack stand. I'm probably just gonna do one wheel at a time. So we're gonna take this off and we'll go to the next step. All right, now that we got the wheel off, you're gonna want to go ahead and get the jack, like just up by your control arm, not hitting the road or anything, just to go ahead and support that, so you can, when you take the shocks off, you can still keep tension on the rest of the system, and also it'll make installing everything just safer. So just get a good amount of pressure on it. You don't need to lift the truck or anything. Just get some good tension on it. And so now is a good time to also inspect any components, grease anything up. You see, like, that doesn't look the best. Previous owner over greased that on top of an oil leak. So that stuff will get addressed in the future. As of right now, it's good enough to just leave it, but it's definitely less. Like this, for example, that's going to get addressed today, but not in this video. That's not what you're looking for. One other thing I forgot before we get under this disassembling. Also, throw the tire of the truck under the truck. I know it's not going to do as much as the jack if the jack were to fail, but it is extra level protection to protect yourself while you're under it. Because you got the jack stand, you got this, but it never hurts to be too safe, especially if you're not going to be in a hard surface like asphalt, preferably, something like that. But this ground's luckily been dry. It hasn't rained in like almost a week, so if you're going to be on the grass or in softer terrain, this is about as safe as it's going to get. But keep those precautions in mind. That's why I'm only doing one side of the truck at a time. That's why the other wheel's on. soft ground. I'm just gonna play it safe. It'll be a little slower, but with stuff like this, you can't be too safe. So now that it's time to take off this nut in the shock right here, depending on how rusty your truck is, the condition of your components, it might be easier to put a vice grip on the actual threaded part of the shock to hold that in place, and then use a wrench to then take the nut off to keep it from spinning, or just use a deep well socket. That's what I'm going to attempt first, and depending on how that goes, might use the vice grip method. So I got a 15 millimeter deep well socket on here, and I have one of those wrenches that are adjustable what angle you can hold it, and I got it to spin. Once you start to feel it free up, as we start hopefully loosening my hand. So let's see if the nut's coming loose, or I would see that we're probably gonna have to put a vice grip on it and then use a wrench, because it looks like the whole shaft is spinning. Since the nut and the shock wanted to be a little stubborn, I got a vice grip holding the shock and a 15 millimeter wrench on the nut, and this has been working pretty good to get it out. I got it to the point where, as you can see now, the nut will move separate from the shock, which is kind of the goal. It wasn't too stuck, but I imagine some vehicles might be a little worse. So yeah, I'm gonna keep taking this off, and I'll show you the update. So doing the strategy of the vice grip and the opening the wrench, the 15 millimeter, I went ahead and I was able to get this off. I got it to the end where it comes off. You don't need to worry about getting the washer and all that off. You can just get that when you actually pull the shock out from the bottom. And the next step is to pull out the last two bolts. I'm just gonna throw that right there. Yeah, I'll find it, maybe. And pull out these two bolts under here. You can get a good look at them for the shock. And then we'll pull out the bottom. I got one bolt out now. I'm taking the last one out now. Once you get these bolts out, you can just pull the shock right out. I'm gonna have to twist it a little bit, but it should just come on out. Let's see. So I got bolts out, just put them somewhere you're not gonna lose them. Right there is good enough for me. And just twist it a little bit. It should just fall right down. So bushing. I'll pull this out. That might help. Yeah, maybe not. Boom, there we go. Got the shock out. And boom. And here's the old shock I just took out, and here's the new one. I'm just using an AGX. No, not an AGX. It's a KYB gas adjust. I've used put some gas adjust in the rear of my Camaro and some KYB AGX in the front. KYB, they make some pretty good shocks. Not complaining. Good for the money too. But you can just see this old one, the bushing down here, no good. Down here looks good, much more stable. Here's like the little dust shield. You really don't need these. They're good to have, I guess, but every vehicle I've ever swapped something like this on, I've never put a new one back on. Optional. But yeah, you can just take this off and then take the dust shield should slide right off. Unless this one has a keeper on it. But here, just look at the shock. I can press this down with my hand without any effort. And look, it's not even expanding back. This is not really doing anything for your vehicle. This, I can't really press down with my hand. I would have to probably put this on a rock and then put my body weight on it. That's good, because the truck weighs a lot more than my body. So I shouldn't be able to push this with ease. That's not doing anything. And this looks like it might even be original from the factory. I bet if I pull that dust cover off, it's probably gonna be like a GM stamping. It's more effort than it's worth to get it off, so I'm not gonna do that. But I thought it'd be a good comparison to do, just to show you what came out of the truck and what's going to be going in. Before I climb under the truck, put this under, I thought I would show that you do need to put One of the, I guess this is a washer or a spacer. It's like has a conical shape. Make sure the indentation is actually pointing upward, so you can place the washer in it. Then you can go ahead and slide this in, and then on the top of the mounting point is when you'll put this side down on top of it, and then you'll put a nut on top and secure it in place. And this whole process will be same for both sides. So I'm probably just going to show just this one side, and you can just mirror it. It'll be the same. And the only difference from me doing the driver's side right now and the passenger side is a little less space on the top end of the motor on these GMT400s, especially the Vortec ones. But the nice thing is that you can take all of this off with ease. No tools needed. You can take this whole air cleaner assembly off with that little wing nut, just unclick the math and all that stuff, and you can just pull all this out, and then boom, you have, if anything, more space than that side after doing that. And that's like a 5-minute job at most. So, and I guess before I get this in, now would be a good time to go ahead and get this old washer and spacer off. And you can see that's just no good. And I did use a penetrating fluid for this. Honestly, I'd recommend against doing it because I honestly did not need it. I was worried it'd be a little worse, but honestly, for the amount of miles in this truck, it's really not rusty, so I really didn't need this. You can see it's crumbling. This is definitely needed to be replaced, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and clean that with some brake clean down there, and then we're gonna get this back installed with the new shock. All right, we're now back under the truck. You just slide this shock, camera's on it. The shock back up into place. It's gonna be kind of hard to do it, but you can just barely see where the hole is supposed to go to. It'll only kind of fit up in one way. So either you'll have it or you won't. But also too, it should be about in the middle of the spring. Everyone has their strategy for this. Usually it's better to come under here with a plan how to do it. So I'll be back here on camera once I get it up in place. I just got the shock up in the place. I just hand threaded these bolts in just a little bit to hold it in place. Also, before you get to this step, also just inspect the hardware that you just took off and make sure it's good to go back in. Just to be extra safe. Mine's good enough to just rock with, so I'm just going to keep that. Just keep that in mind. Now when we come up to the top of the truck, you're also going to want to make sure it's sticking out where it should be. Really, there's only one spot it can stick out, and you can see that shiny little bolt down there. That is the top of the shock. So we are good to go ahead and tighten that down. Oh, and actually, before we get to tighten it down, the bottom 2 bolts to that control arm for these 2-wheel drive trucks is about 20 foot-pounds. So once you get it tight, just kind of stop there, and then go ahead and get your torque wrench and set it to 20 foot-pounds. I went ahead and got my torque wrench out. I'm gonna go and set this to 20 foot-pounds, and we're gonna go ahead and get that bottom installed. I'm gonna move to the top. Actually, before we do the tops, which is also gonna be just as easy as the bottoms, if not easier, as it have to be under the truck. 20 foot-pounds for the bottom of these control arms on these 2-wheel drive trucks, but I can't really find any direct information online that's not conflicting with like another form for the tops on these. I've seen some say 10, which sounds too low. I've seen some that are crazy high, which I'm pretty sure that number is for like an all-wheel drive truck. The torque specs are higher than those trucks. I've seen some that says 34. That sounds about right. I'm going to do 34 foot-pounds for the top, not on the the shock. But if anyone knows better who has a service manual, please put something down in the comments, because I don't own one. And with a quick Google search, I couldn't find anything. If I looked a little bit more, I could probably find something, but worth more time than what I really wanted to put forward. I want this to be a pretty quick project. So if you know the proper number for the tops, please let it know. But I'm just going to do the 34. Sounds about right for other stuff I've done shock-wise, so I'm just going to go with that. I got that bottom bolt down and torqued to spec. So now we can go ahead and put on these little rubber spacers and the washer. So I'm going to throw those on. So those are now on the shock, and now we can go through the nut that is supplied with the shock absorber. Go and screw that on. And once you get that seated, you can go ahead and put a wrench, torque it down. And I'm probably going to shoot for about 34 foot-pounds. That might be too much, but that's what I'm just going to rock with it, with the information I was able to find. But yeah, if you know the proper number, please put that down below. And after that, you can just put everything back together, and then you're basically done with doing the front shocks. And these trucks are pretty easy. And I'm going to repeat, do the bottom, and yeah, that'll be the bulk of so I got the bolt tugged up nice and snug, looks good. Around here, bolts are snug as well. So you're just going to put the wheel back on, and you're basically done. And the same things for the opposite side of the vehicle. So thanks for watching. If you have any other questions, just put them in the comments, and if you have any other information that I may have missed, please put that down below. But yeah, thank you for watching.